Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another MLB video. This is a fun one, and, well, as you already saw by the title, on this day in baseball history, August 8th, a lot of things happened, and I'm going to talk about them in this video. I did this 3 years ago. I had a lot of fun with it, so I decided to bring it back. And really, this is just a series where I'm going to give you some stats, give you some stories, give you some, games from history, and just talk about them, because I think it's fun to talk about baseball. So I got 5 stories for you today that I'm just going to run through. And, if I miss some, because of course so many things happen on any given day in baseball history, but just let me know down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about baseball in general. And if something happened with your favorite team or something that's super cool, leave it down in the comments. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about baseball, what happened on this day in baseball history, August 8th. And we're going to start in 1916. Yeah, we're going back over 100 years for this one. Just tells you how much history is in the game of baseball, which is so great. But the Athletics of Philadelphia set an AL record with their 19th consecutive loss on the road. The streak began July 25th, so they did not win a game for 2 straight weeks. That is quite a lot. So I went and pulled up their team on Baseball Reference. It's crazy that they even have data back to 1916. Who was keeping track of stats back then? I don't know. But this team was bad. It was really bad. It looked like the Orioles for a while, maybe the 2012 to 2015 Twins. They were 36, 117, and 1. They tied a game, oddly enough. They finished dead last in the AL, of course, but they did not finish dead last in attendance. So that's a positive for Philly. Like I said, this team was bad. They lost 19 consecutive games, but it doesn't stop there. If you go back to June 10th, Philadelphia lost. They were 15-27 at this time. They lost 10-1 against Cleveland. They only won 4 games until today. So in 2 months, or June to July, July to August, in 2 months, they won 4 games. That's really bad. Oddly enough, though, like I said, today they set the record for 19 losses in a row. They won 3 of their next 4. They won 7-1, 9-3, and then 2-0 over the Yankees. 2 of those games, oddly enough. So that's really funny how baseball works. You are so bad for so long, and then you win 3 of your next 4. This team only won 2 games, back-to-back games, 4 times during the season, including the last 2 games of the season. 2 more fun stats about this. They had 3 days off before starting this 19-game losing streak, so I don't know, maybe they drank too much or had a drinking problem or something, I'm not sure. They also had a whole week off, 5 days in a row, to begin the June 10th. So I don't know if the war was going on or what was going on here at this time, 1916, right in the middle of World War I. But they had 5 days off, then proceeded to lose, I think it's like 12 in a row, maybe? 10 in a row, it looks like, 10 in a row. Then they finally won a game, but was on that stretch of only winning 4 games in 2 months. They had a couple of standout players. They were all super, super young. So again, I'm not sure if the war had something to do with this or not. They had 3 players that stood out. They only had 2 players over 40. One of them was Nap LaJoy, who honestly was not that great, as you could imagine, batted .240. His OPS plus was 80. He was 41 years old. But they did have some good guys on their team. Stuffy McInnis. Remember that name. I hope there's a bobblehead out there of Stuffy McInnis, because I want it. He had an OPS plus of 114, which is probably the best stat that you're going to be able to compare these guys to. He had a .295 batting average, 60 RBIs, which led the team by far, only 1 home run. This team had a combined total, everyone through their lineup, 19 home runs that year, including 1 by a pitcher, Jing Johnson, I believe was his name. The most home runs hit was by Wally Sheng, who had 738 RBIs. He had an OPS plus of 140, and Amos Strunk, who was probably the best player on the team, with OPS plus of 151, but also a 316 batting average, a slugging of 421, which is an 814 OPS. Nobody else had an OPS over 693. That is quite the difference in, talent, maybe. But that is a bad team that lost a lot of games, and, well, none of them are alive anymore, but we tip our caps to them from 1916, over 100 years ago. I don't know how stuff like this is even recorded, but that's just crazy. So that's a fun little story. If you're ever talking about somebody they want a random baseball player, Stuffy McInnis. Let's jump ahead 4 years, though, to 1920. Howard Emke, I think is how you say his name, of the Detroit Tigers, pitched the fastest game in American League history at 1 hour and 13 minutes. It was a 1-0 victory over the New York Yankees. So I said, let's go take a look at the box score. Because, again, they have box score data for back in the day. I should throw up the lineups for these guys. Man, there are some funny names from back in the 1900s. Ping Bodie, I think Rip Collins, who ended up getting the loss. Wally Pipp, Duffy Lewis, Del Pratt. Babe Ruth was on this team, by the way. So that's cool. Ty Cobb was on the Tigers. So 2 big names back then. But like I said, this game ended 1-0. It ended in 1 hour and 13 minutes. And the Tigers got the win, who were 39-63 at the time, against the Yankees team that was 67-42. The Tigers had 6 hits. The Yankees had 3. The Tigers made 2 errors. I went and looked at the box score for the game. Babe Ruth went 0 for 3 in this game, did draw a walk, and he was caught stealing. Interesting enough, Del Pratt had a stolen base and went 1 for 3. Ping Bodie went 1 for 3, and Roger Peckinpah went 1 for 4. That is your box score for the Yankees. On the other side of things, the Tigers had quite a few more hits. Ty Cobb went 2 for 3. A couple of other guys had some hits, but the only run scored in this game was a wild pitch, and it was in the bottom of the 4th inning. Wild pitch from Rip Collins scored the only run of the game, 1 hour and 13 minutes. I tried to find it. I couldn't. I'm sure it's out there to find all the fastest games in Major League history. I couldn't find it, but I'm sure it's out there. Maybe this still stands. I am not 100% sure, but 1 hour and 13 minutes is a fast game. Let's run through the next 2 very quickly here. In 1976, we're jumping 50 years here. The first game of a doubleheader, against Kansas City, the White Sox took the field wearing shorts. They wore shorts. They won the first game, and then they won the second game wearing pants. Must have gotten too cold at Comiskey Park, but funny enough, they won both games. I thought that was just funny. You would think maybe they got hot during the day and they would, take off their pants and wear shorts that way. But no, they were just like, yeah, I guess it's too cold. Let's put on some pants. They got the win. I don't know. Maybe more teams should do that for doubleheaders. Just a fun little fact. Jumping ahead now to 1988. Oddly enough, this was the first night game scheduled at Wrigley Field. The Cubs would play the Phillies, but it got rained out. I think you may have known this. 1988, was that? Or is it 1998? Kerry Wood. I think it's 98. But a lot of good things happening around this time for the Cubs. Night games, though, were not a thing in Chicago because, as you know, maybe if you've been to Wrigley, and even if you don't, it's right in the middle of a residential area. I mean, Wrigleyville is quite the place to be if you're going to a baseball game, but if you live in Chicago, it's a nice area and it's residential. Like, you can walk right outside, right down the street, and you're at houses. So they didn't play night games there because the lights would be too bright, and they played day games for years. I mean, 100 years. This is the first night game and it gets rained out. That's just funny. So I included it, and they did not. It was a no contest, by the way. Because a thunderstorm came in. So maybe they should have played during the day. And the last little story I have for you here today, 1998. I'm a Twins fan, so I wanted to throw in one Twins stat from today. The Twins' Paul Moliter became the 5th player at the time in Major League history to have 3,000 hits and 500 stolen bases. He went 5 for 5 in that game and recorded his 500th stolen base. The other players in this very rare group of people, company, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Eddie Collins, maybe that one surprised you, Lou Brock, and then most recently was Ricky Henderson and Ichiro Suzuki. So there you go. Very elite company there for Paul Moliter while he was a Twin. And that is a pretty impressive stat line. 500 stolen bases will probably never happen again. And 3,000 hit doesn't happen that often. So to have both of those and be in elite company with Ty Cobb and Honus Wagner and Lou Brock, some really fast guys. Paul Moliter obviously was no slouch, but Ricky Henderson, some elite company there. So really, really cool that Paul Moliter is part of that club, and I didn't know that. So really cool that he is part of the one of 7 players. Well, that's all I got for you today. Just a fun little video. The most interesting one to me was obviously the 1916 Phillies team. I hope I can find a bobblehead of what was his name again? Stuffy McGinnis. I'm not going to forget that now. Stuffy McGinnis. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to do it most every day. We'll see what I can do, 3 to 4 stories or so. But I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. Bye.